Now we're going to be talking about a thing that is very, very dear to me. It's about crypto. It's about regulation in crypto. And the title of the panel is Digital Assets and MiCA Revolution. So I just want to set the tone slightly before we start. I was asked first to thank our main partners, the Ministry of Finance of the Slovak Republic, the National Bank of Slovakia, and Visa for making this event possible. And now to our panel. We are in a defining moment of digital assets globally. The story of crypto in 2025 is one about crypto now truly matters. It is becoming a part of the financial system. We are seeing traditional financial giants like Visa, BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, and so on, and also the native challengers like PayPal, Revolut, Stripe, and so on. They're all offering or thinking of offering crypto products. I was just checking the State of Crypto 2025 report by Anderson Horowitz, and I read that the blockchains currently process close to 4,000 transactions per second, which is 100 times growth over the last 5 years. Same report also stated that the stablecoins power more than 35 trillion in US dollars in annual transactions. The recent report by the European Systematic Risk Board about crypto assets estimates that there are over 200 billion US dollars sitting globally in crypto investment products, of course, with majority in Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. And then the regulation that we're going to be discussing today, we have the major changes that actually legitimize the industry itself. In Europe, we have the MiCA that we're going to be talking about today that provides clarity, or let's say it's supposed to provide clarity, and customer protection for the entire 27 EU member states. In the United States, we have seen the Genius Act, and we're also going to be touching slightly about what is happening in Asia. So by saying all that, crypto is no longer just a technology experiment. So to start, first of all, my name is Dejan. I'm the co-founder of Kriptomat, which is the crypto investment platform out of Estonia. And today I'm joined by 3 great co-panelists. And I will start with Peter, with you. What do you think? What parts of MiCA do you believe will most influence innovation? And are there, and where are there, the risks of over-regulation from the supervisory perspective?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I would like to introduce where we are currently in the MiCA regulation. So currently we are in the transition period where so-called VASPs, which are virtual asset service providers, serve their services. And under the current regulation in Slovakia, they need to fulfill only AML requirements. And this transition period, it takes basically till the end of this year. After that, the MiCA comes in place. And MiCA doesn't require only AML requirements, but MiCA includes also more stricter view on the personnel inside the CASP. Also, it requires to fulfill all the cybersecurity regulations according to DORA. Also, some communication of personal data through TFR2. So we can see that MiCA brings a lot of difficult regulatory environment to the existing firms and also to the new startups. So now we are in this transition period, and what I see as basically what MiCA brings good in this environment, I would tell that the good innovation is, for example, the EU passporting. So when some company gets a MiCA license in one European country, it passports to the all EU member states. So this company can do all the services across all the Europe. The next innovation, I would say, is the clear regulation of stablecoins. So in Europe, with MiCA, it comes that stablecoins need to be backed with fiat currency, with liquid assets. So if some stablecoin provider has a MiCA license in Europe, you can basically rely on that these stablecoins are backed. There are a lot of projects like algorithmic stablecoins, which are very good idea, but due to market volatility and big crashes, also short-term crashes, can cause decoupling of the algorithmic stablecoins, and they can crash. So currently, these algorithmic stablecoins are not caught up with the regulation. Only the I would say some generic stablecoins which are backed by fiat currency, there are included in MiCA. And also, which I like in MiCA regulation, there is a segregation of assets of the clients and the assets of the company. So when something bad happens with the company and it needs to crash, the client funds should be untouched and can be returned to the client. So whatever happens to the company, only the funds which belong to the company will be basically used in order to fix these issues.
Just a small follow-up question. You started with an introduction on from your perspective, like in Slovakia and the VASPs and so on. Are you? Can you maybe just disclose anything in the numbers? How many of the VASPs are there currently in the country, and how many do you guys need to process by in such a short term? And what are your? Can you also speculate in the sense of the readiness of the companies who are going to be actually applying for MiCA?
Okay, so currently we have around 500 plus VASPs in our country. We also, when we started to do the MiCA regulation, we contacted most of the VASPs and asked them whether they want to continue with the MiCA license or not. A couple of them responded, a couple of them didn't. And currently we expect that we will have approximately 10 plus MiCA entities.
Thank you. We have a guest joining us remotely from another continent, and I have a question for you, Efendi. Can you hear us?
Yes, very clear.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely, and good to have you
All
here.
right. Yes, thank you.
I have a question for you. In how would you compare the climate, the general regulatory climate for digital assets in your home country, Malaysia, and in general the Asian countries with MiCA, as far as you're familiar with MiCA?
Okay. Good morning to everyone in Slovakia, and a very good afternoon to Malaysian, ASEAN. We have the same time zone. My name is Efendi from Malaysia, founding CEO of the Center for AI, Blockchain, and Advanced Research. At Chaba, we focus on AI governance, blockchain innovation, and ethical finance. I also wrote the book, Artificial Intelligence, Law and Ethics, The Boundary of Powers. So the questions on comparing regulatory issues of MiCA and ASEAN. I can say that from my experience, traveling, doing research, R&D to 30 countries, including CEE, MiCA gives Europe structure and clarity. We can say a single rule book for 27 countries. But in ASEAN, we don't have one regional law, but we do have something just as powerful like MiCA. We have flexibility and experimentation. So Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand use sandbox models to test digital asset frameworks before scaling them. So this allows regulators to learn with innovators. For example, our Securities Commission has run digital asset and eKYC sandboxes earliest in the market since 2019, and allowing startups to innovate while regulators learn in the real time. So the sandbox, sandbox culture in Asian's age, it encourages experimentation and adapts quickly to local needs. So from cross-border payments to Sharia-compliant tokenization. So while MiCA builds trust through structure, ASEAN builds trust through collaboration and participation. Both models can learn from each other to shape and balance global digital asset ecosystem. That's all for me. Over to you back, moderator.
Thank you, Efendi. This is actually now a great starting point, a great continuation of what I want to cover next, which is the MiCA implementation, Eastern Europe versus the Western Europe. And this one goes to you, Ivan. I just checked yesterday the registry with ESMA for CASPs, and we have something, I think 80 licensed CASPs entities in the EU. Out of those 80, there are 20 big global players. Then we have around 20 TradFi entities who are actually, they're not going through the licensing procedure, but they just submit a notification to the regulator that they also want to offer crypto services. Out of all those, I found one case of a company in my home country, in Slovenia, who also is offering crypto services with notification. And there is one company, which is a global player, Robinhood, in Lithuania. So none of the countries from Estonia to Greece has any crypto, any MiCA license issued yet. So my question is, what differences do you anticipate in how MiCA will affect this digital assets landscape in Eastern Europe versus Western Europe? And also, this is kind of my feeling that I get as somebody who's also heavily involved with the landscape, are smaller CE markets, again, at risks of being left behind?
Before I answer your question, I would like to thank Finas and David Čajko for inviting me, and I represent educational entity, institution, Matěj Bell University, and I specialize for finance and blockchain. And we run 3 courses on blockchain and crypto assets, and there is a huge demand for these courses, and those may be future talents for the companies of yours that could be working with you. With your question, I think we already heard the numbers for Slovakia. So 500 VASPs and maybe 10 would be licensed. In reality, maybe it will be 5. So there is a ratio 1 to 100 of the entities, of the companies who are real companies working in the environment of innovation, environment of crypto assets. And I think there is a huge potential loss of not applying, and so an innovation loss. So your numbers, those are true. I think if we see the split 50-50, those big companies, big players, traditional finance companies, most of them are coming from West. And in the East, we have small innovative companies, new platforms, lots of new innovation. But let's do the math of the compliance cost. So if you have a company which has lots of clients, the big turnover, and the per unit cost is very low, the compliance cost. How can a small company from East or Central Europe be competing with such a huge company with lots of lawyers, with lots of experience? And so I think that's a burden. We'll see the results, how it will end up, but I think the solution could be also scaling the regulation to put less demand for small innovative companies, and as they grow, maybe put more regulation demands on them.
A follow-up question to this, and anybody can answer, whoever wants. I somehow get a feeling that, also from my personal feedback, that the general ecosystem, because Peter, you mentioned what MiCA brings, all of the different aspects, from the risk management to information security risk management to the bigger AML, to the corporate structure that needs to be changed, and so on and so forth. But then there is also, let's say, there is one part in MiCA that demands for crypto asset service providers to keep the customers' funds, euro funds, overnight with the credit institution to safeguard the funds. And then on the other hand, I can speak from my personal experience, in Estonia, we are present at the market already for 8 years. There is no way that any of the local banks will open a bank account for a crypto company. Not even give us a letter that they will open a bank account later once we are MiCA licensed. So the feeling that we get is that the ecosystem itself, it's actually not supportive for a regulation like this. And then actually the question is, will that lead to, let's say, a slower implementation of the regulation itself? And this, of course, causes, as you mentioned, the innovation loss.
Yes, you are right. So currently...
I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic.
I know. This is a real issue. We call it de-risking, that banks doesn't open accounts to the crypto asset service providers. And we are doing some dialogues with the banks dealing with these issues. Currently, I cannot tell you any outcome, but as soon as the CASP will have a MiCA license, it become a participant of the financial market. So, yeah, this is basically a fact. But a lot of crypto asset service providers don't use credit institutions for their custody, but they are using payment institutions. And currently, this kind of works. So we will continue with the dialogues with the banks. And from our side, we are willing to and we want to make it happen that banks will open the accounts for the CASPs.
Thanks. I want to move on to the real use cases and the integration. And here is where you come in, Daniel. First of all, I would like to hear about what you guys are actually doing and what is the just recent feedback that you and the happening that happened with your company.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, David, for inviting me for this panel. Firstly, my name is Daniel Rajnoch. I'm founder and CEO of company InvestBay. We in InvestBay, we are tokenized real estate, and these real estates we offer the clients and give them the possibility to invest from 100 euros in various property in a holiday spots across the world, actually, in these days. We were discussing with Dan how we are and what's our experience. And our experience with our national bank, Czech National Bank, is this, that we didn't have a chance to prepare ourselves in a 2 years ago, how it was done in Slovakia. We have to prepare directly the MiCA regulation, preparing with our legal firm, and we have to do the DORA regulation. And when we apply for, or we have a first meeting in the National Bank, we found that a company like we are will not be under the MiCA regulation, because the ESMA say that if there is a financial product, which is the offering the investment in a property, we have to go to different regulation. And it means that we currently changing our regulation setup, which was surprising, because before it happened, everybody was expecting that real estate tokenization will be one of the biggest asset class to tokenize. But actually, the MiCA regulation, probably it's not done for this type of the assets. And as I say, we have to go under the MiFID regulation. Finally, I'm happy for this one, because it opens some possibility of a distribution, because connected to the MiCA regulation, also the sellers have to have a license. And there are the financial groups and financial advisors who already have a MiFID regulation. If they want to sell the tokens, they will have also MiCA regulation. And I'm not sure that they will going to this direction. It means that this gives us opportunity to change the business model, and we did it.
So it's a good thing for you that you...
Finally, yes, but we didn't have to wait so long, and we can go directly. But also, because we are using the DLT regime from Central Depository of Prague, we will have to wait for it as well.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Ivan, a question for you. So you, working in education, you work in the, let's say, intersection of finance and blockchain. And how do you see blockchain integrating into the traditional investment products, as we just now discussed also with Daniel? And would you say are banks and also universities and the rest of the stakeholders moving fast enough?
I think it's two sub-answers to your question. So first, the blockchain. I perceive blockchain generally as a tool for investing, or to use investing of anything, or investing in anything, anywhere in the world, and anytime. So it's 24/7. Anything means that we can tokenize real estate or dollars or whatever we think of, and it brings lots of opportunities. And it's a learning process of the traditional investing, traditional investment products, and crypto asset products. So I think they're learning from each other, and that brings the fractional ownership, and the tokenization brings opportunity to small investors. Especially, I was talking to other panelists yesterday, especially, and we heard it in the first panel, that those countries where the infrastructure for investment or banking is not there, there is a financial exclusion. So I think the blockchain helps. There are lots of use cases that blockchain helps to financially include those areas. And it's also it's a case of democratization of investing. So you can own anything in small fraction, and so that's first part of the answer. And the education institution. So it's a very hard topic for me, and we could spend hours and days. But generally, the education is about talents. So if we want to keep the talents in the country, in Slovakia, Slovenia, Estonia, Czech Republic, we need to provide them not only good education, but also opportunity to implement what they learn. So I think the solution is not to change the system, educational system. It's almost hard to do, but the company should provide as many opportunities for intern programs to keep the talents here in the Central Eastern Europe, and not to give them opportunity to flee to Western Europe. So I think that's a challenge, and I'm glad that I could bring some of my students here, which were here yesterday, and some of my colleagues, and I hope that we might build some intern programs.
If I can add something, how we see it in real life, we see that there are two parts of the tokenization process. There is a fractionalization. This is one part, and which was able to doing by another platform as well. It means that the tokenization layer, we are feeling in these days that it's just a technology which exactly enables certain things to do with it, like a better sell, faster sell, cheaper sell, and dealing with this one. And also you can, for example, in our case, you can borrow the money against the collateralization of a tokens. It means that this layer of a technology currently bringing this possibility, but it's also that it's creating new infrastructure around it, like a DeFi. You can better sell it to the tokens overseas and so on. This is how we feel it.
Thanks. I always like to say that one of the things that our industry lacks is trust, and it's actually our fault, the industry's fault, that the things are there. And I'm optimistic that the MiCA is actually going to help us build that, and it's also going to help with adoption. So here is a question I want to address to our guest, Efendi. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
okay.
Please proceed. Yeah.
So I'm interested in what is driving this mainstream adoption in your markets. And from what I heard is that the Asian markets are more kind of mainstream for when it comes to crypto adoption. In ways, you guys have adopted crypto more than Europe. So how would you comment? What is driving this mainstream adoption, and why it is that you guys are better than us in this way?
Yes, it's a very good question. We just had Trump to our country because Malaysia is an Asian chairmanship, and part of that, they are talking about this kind of AI, blockchain, in fact, on the crypto inclusion, right? And Trump still yet could not move on from our country. He's still mentioning our country in South Korea. Okay, yes, I can say that ASEAN is more ready in some ways because we are mobile-first region. In Malaysia and Indonesia, I am based in Malaysia and Indonesia. Over 90% of internet user access financial services through smartphones. So the median age is around 30. So digital adoption happens very fast. But it's not just youth, it's also a necessity. In parts of ASEAN, people use crypto for remittances or as a hedge against inflation, not speculation. Because some of the countries, they have a very poor in terms of currencies, right, compared to Europe, to ASEAN. So crypto is part of necessity. And that grassroots use builds real adoption, something Europe can learn from. Regulation here in Europe is catching up, in ASEAN is catching up, but the market demand is already there. And ASEAN's strength lies in demography and mindset. We have over 650 million people, mostly young, mobile first, and open to digital finance. So this gives us a natural testing ground for Web3 adoption. So when you combine regulatory flexibility, strong central banks like Malaysia's Security Commission, and regional cooperation, ASEAN, I think, can grow a digital asset hub that complements, not competes with Europe. Let's go. Come to Malaysia and we do a lot of wonderful things together. That's all from me. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you. I want to thank the audience for sending the questions via the Slido app. I will make sure that we address them later, so keep on doing that. And one question actually relates to my next topic, which is the small players versus the big global giants. For you, Daniel, you're actually building the company yourself, and I can also speak from my own experience. So smaller local platforms face competition from these big global players. I will not be naming names. I think you all know them. And of course, they have bigger compliance teams. They have much bigger pockets, and sometimes they also use unfair market practices. So why is that so? So why is the Europe currently kind of bombarded, and actually they are the market leaders when it comes to all of our markets. Whatever market we look into, it's dominated by the global players. And how can we then remain competitive within the MiCA environment?
I would say that specifically in our case, there is few companies who do the real estate tokenization. It means that, and we also competing with a company like Arrive Homes, which do just the fractionalization. It means that this is a similar segment which we targeting. It's not still such a big move from America to Europe in this segment. It's more that the really big players like Securitize or another companies, who are big players. They are moving the direction, but from this perspective, we are not compete with them because we cannot. They have lots of resources. For example, Securitize, the BlackRock, stablecoin, and so on. It means that it's huge. Currently, they are going to IPO. It means that we doesn't have a chance to compete with them. And this is it. What we think that the real estate market is huge, and because it's not done different way, like for example in Dubai, the tokenization of the real estate will have to go through the process what we are currently doing to creating security tokens. It means that company like us will have to go to the market, choose the right property, buying on a special SPV, selling the shares connected to tokens, and it has to go step by step. What we see that each country has one specialist, for example, for Dubai, and they are selling overseas. Or there is a company who is selling only in Spain. We going differently. We are trying to sell currently in Central Europe, but different property from different countries. It means that this is how we are going, and we think that in these days the RWA space, which real estate is including, will be growing just in these days. Recently, I returned from America, and the information from one investor was that 6 years ago they already received some similar project what we are doing, but it was still too early. But now they want to follow up this possibility because they see that the market is just right. And we are betting on this one.
I will continue with this. There was a panel I participated a week ago in Croatia, and the panel moderator said, actually they posed a question to me, that MiCA unintentionally introduced an innovation tax on smaller companies. And what they mean to say by that is that they favor scale over agility, because all of the expenses, all of the resources that you need to have to be able to comply, it makes it hard for smaller companies. And it's usually the smaller companies that innovate. Who can comment on that?
I can take it. I think this is true because the compliance costs for the MiCA license is very high, because also the process of obtaining the license is long, because from our perspective, we need to check a lot of parameters on the license. We need to review all the persons that are included in basically the application. Also, we need to review the business models. We need to review whether the cybersecurity or the whole setup of the systems, internal systems, are good, and we need to communicate back to the applicants. So this takes a lot of time, and also when the applicant does not fill its application properly, it also prolongs the time, because we need to ask them to add the proper information there, and it can take like 1 year. So yes, it is true that for the startups and for the small companies, the regulatory costs are very high, because they need to focus on the regulation, not to the business itself, and not to the innovations itself, but they need to fill all the requirements.
Thank you, Peter. You wanted to comment?
No, I think that the regulatory part, it's a part of a trustable business, and the trust from a client, the building this one.
Yeah. I want to continue with, I want to hear your kind of point of view on this question, Ivan. And it's about DeFi. So where does DeFi currently fit in the framework of MiCA? And even how realistic it is that you can regulate something that by design is supposed to be decentralized. What would you say?
Yes, I think the whole crypto sector, the idea is decentralization and omitting the intermediaries. So that's, of course, intermediaries could be the big banks. And these big banks, as we heard, they have a large compliance cost, which they have to transfer to the fees. So that's might be, that's why the products are expensive. And so that's the answer is DeFi, where the new innovative fintech solutions are being provided, better and cheaper, and that's the original idea. And we have now the regulation, which is having a burden at the cost side of these companies. So I think there will be ways the DeFi will develop in the future. There will be more self-custody projects, not just wallets, but protocols, etc., etc. And it will try to compete and try to escape the regulatory burden. And I hope that somehow we will reach some compromise in the future. So, and if we go concrete into some actions that I see from academic perspective, but you can check in the reality. How can you regulate the Bitcoin or any token which is has no intermediary? So if you go for the measure for licensed entities under MiCA, if you want to offload your account, which is under the licensed MiCA entity, and you want to send your Bitcoin to self-custody wallet, effective 1st of January this year, you need to provide KYC. So you need to tell who you are sending your Bitcoins. Are you sending it to yourself or your friend? So I think there is a loss of privacy. So if you're talking about your original question, MiCA finds the ways and the regulation finds a way also to deal with these things, to regulate something which was not meant to be regulated.
I would comment also on this. So your question was basically the regulation of the decentralization. I don't know currently how this is being processed in MiCA II or something like that. So I will provide my personal opinion. So, for example, we need to distinguish the real DeFi and the so-called Dino, which is decentralization in name only, because there are a lot of projects on the blockchains which call themselves decentralized, but they are not. I think from the risk management perspective, these applications, these Dino applications, should be somehow supervised, because there are a lot of hacks and there are a lot of bad stuff going with these kind of applications. So I would say that, for example, these centralized, decentralized applications should be somehow supervised. For example, Ethereum L2s, they usually rely on single sequencer, which is either machine or some cloud service, which is running basically on itself and doing the settlement on the Ethereum layer 1. And for example, a lot of people can have their funds there and some investments or some custody. And imagine that this L2 sequencer goes down. How do you withdraw your money? So, for example, we need to use, in these cases, DORA. For example, we need to do some backups. We need to do some provider handover. For example, if you have on AWS this sequencer, you need to have some business continuity plan in order to hand over it to, for example, Google Cloud or something like this, in order to make sure that this sequencer is running 24/7. So those funds are safe. So a lot of projects that are L2s claims that they are decentralized, but they are not. So this is the example. What I would look at it, and also there are some smart contracts which has some single admin key, and some developer has the admin key of the smart contracts. So this developer can wipe out all the account, or he can destroy the contract, or he can basically change some parameters, or he can change the proxy contract which is communicating with this smart contract. So this is also the Dino. This is also some on-chain application which have a single admin. So as soon as they are real decentralized applications with no keys, I think, from my personal opinion, not the National Bank of Slovakia opinion, this doesn't need to be regulated, because it's running it by itself and it's good. But as soon as there is some person who can mess it up, it should be somehow supervised, I think.
It's so refreshing to hear opinions from somebody who's working on the regulatory side in such matters. So thank you for this. Very good, Peter. I want to actually continue with you to my kind of last part of the actual enforcement of MiCA. I always also like to talk about how will MiCA be protecting us, the market participants, the CASPs that are actually on the market. And we have recently seen the UK FCA, they actually sued one of the biggest crypto providers, which is Huobi. We've seen the Dutch authorities issuing fines to OKEx, Bybit, Binance, and so on and so forth. And MiCA is supposed to protect both customers and all of the market participants from the unlicensed offshore platforms, from Coconut Drive 7 in some exotic island. So I'm interested in what are the actual enforcement tools that you have, and how can you, what it is that you can do when you see somebody, let's say, offering services in your market that is not licensed. What are the tools available for you?
I can tell you about two tools that we are using. First, we basically show this entity on our website that it's doing the business without the license, and basically as soon as you search this entity, it's, I think, mostly it is the first result, for example, on Google, that this entity doesn't have a license, so be aware, don't invest it there, don't use it. So we can do this kind of awareness. Also, we have some cooperation with the other sectors. So as soon as we do this, as soon as we post this information on our website, they are basically sharing this. For example, police are also sharing on their Facebook and so on that this provider is unlicensed, so be aware of it. So this is the first tool. And the second one, we can coordinate the web blocking, so blocking of the domain. So in our country, you cannot, not in our country, but in our basically IP address field. So basically Slovaks cannot access this, but of course, if you have VPN, so you can access it, but Slovakians by themselves cannot access this website.
Have you ever done it?
No, but yes, I would share some information with you, but I cannot, sorry.
Well, yeah, I understand. Well, I really hope that you will get the necessary tools that you can actually use, from blocking the domain, as you said, and also requesting the apps takedown from the app stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would actually give you the measures that you can take.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to add from the educational entity side, your question was about the consumer safety, and I think there is also other way than regulation. That's called the reference reputation system, and that's about the financial literacy, and that you do your job and investigate and find out if the entity which you're investing with, if it's reliable, if it has references. So it works very simple way, as you ask your friend, are you comfortable with your shoes? Where did you buy it? And that's and with all the AI tools and internet, you can find lots of information, and you can also go to the website, or it can redirect you to the website of the regulator, and such a lists of the non-compliance and maybe fraudster companies. So that's our part, of course. And from my personal experience, the students which are interested in crypto, young people, they do invest, they do involve in lots of fraudulent projects, and I have many cases then the student wanted to contact me after the class to discuss it, and it's of course we can have a strong regulation and lots of lists, but the reputation, the referencing it's very, very important. That I think the reliable companies, they cannot afford to cheat the customer, and they need to be fair and reliable, and that's their core mission.
Efendi, I have a follow-up question for you on this topic.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Let's say that we, in my company, we decide that we're going to start offering services in Malaysia. So what we do, we translate the service into your language. We start promoting the services via TikTok or whatever social media is popular there, and we start getting clients and so on. So how would the local regulator react? And what is their kind of approach to the offshore service providers?
Okay. I think because Asia is very huge, we have countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. So I think I will give my perspective on a Malaysia perspective because I involved in a lot of a blueprint in our country, basically in crypto and also blockchain space. In Malaysia, if an offshore crypto platform starts operating or marketing to locals without approval, the Securities Commission, SC, will step in quickly. So they have already issued cease and desist orders and even blocked unlicensed exchanges before. And ASEAN regulators generally prefer a progressive enforcement model. First, educate, then warn, then enforce. So many use digital surveillance tools and cross-border cooperation through ASEAN Capital Markets Forum. So maybe the EU could borrow this balance, firm on compliance, but still open to innovation. We don't kill startups with red tape. We guide them into sandboxes, test their models, then regulate once value is proven. That's how Malaysia keeps innovation alive while maintaining consumer protections. For example, in Malaysia also and across ASEAN, regulators are getting smarter about this. If someone like Juraj launches services targeting Malaysians, even from overseas, the Securities Commission will classify that as operating in Malaysia and can issue cease and desist orders or block local access. So, but yeah, the idea is without regulation, regulators like the Securities Commission of Malaysia can issue warnings and block domains and restrict advertising. But of course, most of the ASEAN regulators prefers engagement over punishment. So the idea is to encourage responsible entry, partner locally, join a sandbox, and comply step by step, following all this kind of regulation with the sandbox. I think again, CEE, EU can learn from this collaborative approach, while ASEAN can adopt more of MiCA's enforcement consistency. That's all for me. Over to you back, moderator.
Thank you, Efendi. Let's wrap it up with a question from the crowd, and I think Peter, you will be the one that can answer this. And the question is, what will the regulator do when the transition period lapses? And the VASP that has not secured the license yet, what should they do? Should they close the company?
In one word, yes. Yes, they should end their business. This is currently our regulatory setup here in Slovakia, also in Europe. So as soon as the VASPs were not able to obtain the license, they should cease the business.
Thank you very much. This wraps up our panel. I was trying to be on time, and we did it. I wish to thank you all for participating in the panel, and please, a round of applause for my panelists.